So welcome back everybody to another gorgeously sunny day down here on the Lee Valley Canal. Look at that lovely blossom. It gets better every day I come down. So here we are for your Antiviral Vlog Day 5. And today I'm just going to do a quick question and answer session for the How I Make a Video series. So this will be a quick part 4, and then we'll have a look at that outro that we were creating on the computer yesterday. Oh, this is gorgeous. So as I mentioned yesterday everyone, I thought today I'd just do a little ride along and answer some of the questions that I've been asked around this short series on how I make a video. And just to start things off, Drew has asked in the comments yesterday, he said, how come I don't use the 360-degree camera all the time if it sees everything? Just record with that and job done. Well, unfortunately the microphone on the 360-degree camera is just absolutely dreadful. That's the inboard microphone. It usually is on these sort of action cameras and that sort of thing. I don't know why that is, but the microphone is abysmal. I can get an adapter for an external microphone on the 360 degree camera. I may well do that at some point, but at present it's only available from Insta360, and that means getting it from China, and we all know what sort of problems there are with getting things from China at the moment. So as it stands, I'm still using the G7X, and today I thought I'd use the G7X to record the sound and overlay that on some footage from the 360 degree camera, which you're now looking at. So I hope that goes okay, and I hope you enjoy it. So whilst I carry on recording just my voice, I'll let you enjoy some of these pictures with the 360 degree camera. So in an effort to try and keep this video down to the usual 15 to 20 minutes, I'm only going to answer some of the questions that I got asked in the comments over the last 3 days. Thank you to everybody who's asked questions. Hopefully I've answered them already in the comments, or I'll answer them here today. If you've still got more questions, or I haven't answered a question that you've already asked, please ask again in the comments underneath this one. You know, I always like to answer all the comments that I get. I think it would be rude not to be honest. So I shall continue to answer all the comments. If you've got any questions, ask them down below, and I'll get to them a bit later. So first off then, there's a question from Mark, and Mark's asked several questions actually, but he said about the 360 degree camera, this Insta360, he couldn't see a thread on the bottom of the camera in that little red battery pack on the bottom. Well, that's because there isn't one. There isn't a thread on that battery. Unfortunately, the camera has to be put inside that little protective case that it's got, that I showed you, the little wraparound case, and then the thread is on the bottom of that. There's no other way at present of mounting that camera. I think, if I remember rightly, I've seen Insta have brought out an enlarged battery, and I think that one might have a thread on the bottom, but don't hold me to that. I'm sure I've seen it somewhere, or maybe I was just dreaming, I don't know. Mark also asked me about the battery life for that camera. So far I think it's going to last me possibly 45 minutes to an hour of recording, which at the moment is not a problem because I'm only using it for maybe 3 to 4 minutes, between 3 to 4 minutes and 10 minutes at a time, depending whether I'm using the 4K mod or the 360 mod. But the battery life is exactly the same between those two mods on that. But yeah, 45 minutes to an hour I think. But as always, you can buy spare batteries and just plug them in the bottom. So you can detach one, stick another one on, and away you go. Again, unfortunately, the price of those batteries is going to be set by Insta, who are the only reseller of those at present. Mark also asked, does the camera come with any tutorials, or is it all online based? Well, it's all online, unfortunately. All the instructions, you can download the Insta app with the camera, and then you get all your tutorials through that. Same with the studio. That's through the Insta online app that you can get in the Apple Store or on Google Play. And finally from Mark, I think he asked about the cost. The cost of that camera was just over £400. That included the 4K mod and the 360 mod, one battery, and the little protective wraparound case. So the next one wasn't really a question, but it was more of a comment from Tina. Tina said about taking all that time to set up shots as I'm going along. There's no doubt about it. It is going to take me a long time to do a ride and continually set up shots like that as I'm going along. I think on an average day ride, it probably adds, when I'm doing a county ride, it probably adds an hour or two to the ride. Just setting up shots and stopping and getting the drone out, setting that up and connecting it to my phone and flying it, then putting it back and then getting on with the ride. So there's no, as I say, there's no way around it. It does add a lot of time, but that certainly gets quicker with experience. I mean, the ride-by shots now, I can do a ride-by shot, as I showed you the other day. I can do a ride-by shot in maybe 2 or 3 minutes and then I'm on my way. The drone is getting faster. I know where to put the drone to get a better shot, and I'm certainly a lot more confident with the drone when it's not broken. Yeah, I'm confident enough to be able to put it in certain positions and then just ride by and then fly the drone back to myself and put it away again. So yeah, it's everything gets faster with experience. But yeah, certainly when I was first setting out, when I did my first Holland tour back in 2018, a lot of my time was spent recording and then re-recording and re-recording again because I wasn't happy with what I'd done. And then Tina also asks, am I bothered about people nicking the camera if I put it down and then ride on by? Yes, I am. I'm incredibly bothered about that. I'm more bothered about that in the UK than I was when I was on the continent, and I'm certainly more bothered about that when I'm in town or in a city. That's predominantly why I like to ride in the countryside, because the only time I will put my camera down is when there's absolutely nobody else in sight in any direction. I will wait and wait and wait for that period where there's nobody about, put the camera down, do the shot, whatever shot that might be, and then it's done and I move on. But yeah, in town, obviously, when I'm in London, that isn't going to happen. There isn't a time when there's nobody else around there. You can go down in the city of London at 3 o'clock in the morning and there'll still be people about. It's just not going to happen. So when you see me doing my rides through London, that's why you don't see any of the fancy shots, because there's just too many people around to trust putting my camera down or indeed using the drone or anything like that. Having said that, now with the 360 camera, I'm confident enough to be able to use that around people. They don't understand that the camera is pointing at them even when they're behind me, so I can use that one and still get shots. I will be using that around London from now on, so we'll get to see a little bit more of the fancy arty shots perhaps in my videos thanks to that camera. The next point was raised by several people throughout the comments. It was raised in different ways, but similar sort of question. It's about, why have I got so much gear? How do I carry all that, and isn't it too much? That sort of thing. Those sort of comments were raised, and yes, it is. It's far too much gear. It's a hobby of mine, and I like electronics. I like the new gadgets. I go out and I buy them and I sell them. Oh, and on that point, I've sold the Kucam. That's gone. I sold that last night, posted it this morning, so that's all good. That money's back in the bank. And but yeah, as I was saying, it's a hobby. So and that hobby, I like to do it the best that I can. That means to me going out and buying not the best equipment, but it's the best equipment that I can afford. And I change it regularly and try and update it and find something better and something new. Now that said, all the gear that I'm carrying at the moment, all the gear that I showed you the other day, I'm only carrying that now because I'm just out for day rides. I'm out for this hour or 2 hours, maybe 3, to do these videos and have my daily exercise whilst we're under lockdown. There is absolutely no way at all I would be able to or want to carry all that gear if I was on tour. Absolutely not. I'd possibly take one tripod, the G7X, the Insta360 camera and the drone, and I would have maybe a couple of batteries for each. But yeah, the amount that I would carry on a tour would be very much reduced. I mean, my side bags are full of equipment just for recording these vlogs, and I wouldn't need that on tour. It's just not necessary. The next one was another general point. Lots of people have been talking to me about the damage that I did to my drone and that little window at the front that's broken off. It appears to be some sort of filter. I tried a piece of black acrylic. I cut a piece of acrylic to size, fitted it in there. The drone didn't work basically. It took off and then sat still. It thought it was sitting in front of a brick wall, and if I pressed forward it just ignored me. It's quite clever that way. It doesn't like crashing, so if I ask it to do something that its sensors are telling it can't, then it won't do it. So with this piece of plastic, this black acrylic plastic in there, it didn't work. Somebody then also said, well, how about putting a piece of clear acrylic in there? Well, Unfortunately, I think the sensors are set up such that if it flies into the sun, it's got a filter on the front there. The piece of acrylic is a filter so that it doesn't get sun glare and it still knows where it is. It's probably something like an ND filter or something like that. So I can't just use any old piece of plastic in the front there. I can't go to an artist's shop and have them cut a piece. I did read online where some people have used plastic out of sunglasses, a cheap pair of sunglasses, but again, as I just said, I've tried a piece of darkened plastic in there and it didn't work. Now the suggestion has been made that I write to DJI, tell them that I'm a YouTuber and I've got X thousand people watching my videos, and how about they let me have the piece of plastic and show a bit of goodwill. Yeah, I'm up for that. There's nothing lost in writing an email to DJI, so I'm going to be doing that, and we'll see. I'll give it a few weeks to see if I get a reply from them, and fingers crossed we might get a filter back from DJI for nothing. I will keep you updated. So Emil raised a good point on the Relive. I like using Relive. It's a key point on my county videos and on my longer tours. I like using Relive, and I think people like to see it at the end. Unfortunately, Relive had a falling out with Strava. Pointed out in the past that I use Strava primarily to get the Relive recorded at the end. Relive uses the data, or did use the data from Strava to create the map where I've cycled at the end of a ride. Well, that no longer happens with Strava. As I say, they've had a falling out with Relive. But I'm now using a different app. The app that I'm now using with Relive as I ride along is Ride with GPS. I'll put a link to that in the description below this video. So if anybody's interested in using Relive and you think you're okay with Strava, you're not. And unless you like Strava a lot, I don't. As I say, I was only using it for the Relive. I'm not interested really in how far I ride, how fast, and what little records I've set over sections. So I'm now using Ride with GPS. It does exactly the same job. It maps my ride, gives the data to Relive, and they can create the map straight away after I finish the ride. Really, really handy. So thank you to Ride with GPS, and thank you to Emil for raising that one in the comments. The next one is Andrew asked, why did I swap over from Power Director to Premiere Pro? What did I think that I gained by it? Well, as I said yesterday, I've only just started using Premiere Pro since beginning of December 2019, and it's now April 2020, so I've only had 4 months probably tops looking at Premiere Pro, and you can imagine how little actual hours I've spent in that amount of time on Premiere Pro. But I'm already creating videos of a similar quality to what I was before. Hopefully my quality's getting a little bit better. You guys certainly seem to be happy with the content that I'm putting out. But that's with me only knowing perhaps 10% of what Premiere Pro is capable of. Moving on, I hope that I'll be learning more and more, and we can do some cleverer stuff with it, and the videos will just get better and better. That's my assumption, is that Premiere Pro has so much more that I can learn from. I couldn't actually say at the moment what that something will be, but I just know that program is huge. And I mean, one example, the same company produces a sister program to go with Premiere Pro, and that's called After Effects, and that allows me to add all sorts of wonderful things into those videos. But at some point, if I have the time, I would like to learn how to use After Effects, and I shall do that, and then that will be an addition to Premiere Pro, and I can add some special effects into my videos, and hopefully you guys will enjoy some of that in the future as well. At the moment I don't have the time to learn it, but hopefully I will at some point in the near future, and things will always improve. So Andrew also asked about the capacity of my cameras. How much can they hold film wise and sound wise? And again, another one about battery times. Well, I've already told you about the Insta360, the battery times with that. The battery time on the G7X, I can probably get about an hour to an hour and a half's worth of recording on a battery on the G7X. That said, I've got plenty of spares. I carry about 3 or 4 spares with me on a day ride, so I'm never going to run out of battery. I mean, usually on a county ride I'll use 2 batteries for a G7X. The drone batteries, flight time for a drone is probably about between 15 and 17 minutes, no more than that. I have 6 batteries now for the DJI Spark. I managed to get hold of a couple of cheap ones off of eBay, some used ones, which are perfectly good for my use. And yeah, so 6 batteries at about, we'll average that at 15 minutes each, so there we go. I mean, I still haven't ever been out and used all 6 batteries, but they're there just in case. So when we start talking about capacity, how much footage can each of those cameras hold? Well, they're all limited to the SD card that I put in them. The SD cards that I use are micro cards. They're SanDisk Extreme Pro. I've never had that one let me down yet. But those, I'm now up to 128 gigabyte cards. They're cheap enough to buy now. 128 gigabyte in each of my cameras. So all the cameras have the same card, so they're interchangeable. I can just throw the cards back into any camera, doesn't matter. As I said yesterday, when I've finished for the day and I go back to my laptop, I just take all the SD cards out, shove them in the laptop and download the whole lot into a folder, and away we go. So yeah, the capacity on each of my cameras at any one time is 128 gigabytes. I mean, that's enormous. I've never filled one yet, not on a single day. If I was on tour, when I go on tour next time, I will be filling those cards, but I then have an enormous amount of space on my phone that I can download onto. I also have a solid state drive that I take with me that's 0.5 terabyte, which again is an enormous amount of space, and I think I could probably tour for a year and not fill up the amount of memory space that I carry around with me. And just so this vlog doesn't get too long, I'm going to end it there with the last one. Lee pointed out today, he said something along the lines of, did I get confused editing a video about editing? You wouldn't believe it. I laughed when he saw his comment. You would not believe how confusing it is to have a video of me editing. I can't even say it, it's too confusing. But if you can imagine, my Premiere Pro on the laptop yesterday had a picture of Premiere Pro in that little editing window, and I was getting so confused in my head about which one I was editing and which one I wasn't, and where I was dragging pieces in. It was very, very strange. And the whole lot had to be screen recorded. I've never used a screen recorder on my laptop before at all. And yeah, just whilst we're on that, the day before, when I had a day off, it was an enforced day off, I used the screen recorder to record almost the identical video that you saw yesterday, only when I came to edit it I found that the sound recording had switched off halfway through. I was just slightly ticked off at that, and closed the laptop down and walked away and had a day off. So there we go, now you know the truth, that's why I had a day off. But yesterday, yes, I was very, very confused, Lee. Thank you for raising that one. It did make me smile. So as I turn and head for home then, I have just tried flying the drone again and it's still a bit screwy, so I think I'm going to have to give up with that for now until we get it fixed. It's a bit unfortunate. It means I haven't got too many epic shots for our ending that we were working on yesterday. And whilst we're talking about yesterday, I do understand that that wouldn't have been everybody's cup of tea. It was very technical, and I only made it because so many people have been asking me how do I make videos, and I thought I'd finally just get it out of the way. So my apologies to anybody who didn't find that one so interesting, and but we're back on the Trike today, and that's where we're going to remain for a while now. So you'll be seeing a lot more of me on the Trike and a lot more of this wonderful spring sunshine. The weather coming up this week is supposed to be lovely. So anyhow guys, I'm going to leave you now, and when I finish talking it's going to fade into that Relive and that piece of epic music we were working with yesterday, and you'll see how I finished off that creation. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers then, take care, ta-da.